I'm Vinny Politan. This is Closing Arguments, and it's 1 month. It has been a month since those 4 students out at the University of Idaho were stabbed and killed. Mass murder. 1 month later, we have no arrests. We have no suspects. Are there leads? Well, there's a lot of tips, I'm sure, flowing in to the Moscow Police Department and the FBI, and I'm sure they are tracking down every potential lead in this case. But here we are a month later, and let me tell you, the longer this goes, the closer we get to that word we don't like to say, which is cold case. Now, as this case is sort of unraveling in terms of trying to figure out all the things that were happening in Moscow that night, we have learned that there were some officers who were working that night with body cams who were talking to people very close to the house, as a matter of fact. And you look at the timestamp on there, that's 2:54 a.m. when they're talking to people. It's some, they're trying to find kids who are walking around drinking underage, that sort of thing. This particular person you're looking at wasn't drinking underage, so, but that's what they were doing that night. So a lot of people have been looking at this video online and wondering, what's going on? This is very close to that window of time when the 4 students were murdered. And it's physically very close to their home, about a football field away from where the murders took place. So I'm going to show you a piece of that body cam footage right now. It's a short piece, so take a look. All right, did you notice anything? Did you notice anything in that video? All right, second time around, this is what I want you to do. Don't worry about what you're seeing. Listen really closely. Tell me if you hear anything. Let's watch. I'm leaning in. Even though it's right here, I'm like leaning in. Okay, a lot of people are talking about this online, like people do online, trying to find any potential clue. This particular piece of video is from about 3:12 a.m., okay? 3:12 a.m. Some people say that they hear a scream faintly in the background, or something that sounds like a potential scream. Take another listen and pay attention to the video, because we're going to show you when this alleged sound is heard. Let's watch. Did you hear it? When the waves went red? It's fast. It's super fast and it's super faint. Is that the scream? If so, 3:12. That would be huge for investigators, if that's what it is. Because then you narrow that timeline of when this murder or murders took place, if that's a scream. Remember, they're about a football field away, body cams rolling, and some people are listening very, very closely to it. Let's bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor, law professor at Texas Southern University, Michael Sterling is with us. In New York City, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, and certified domestic violence expert, Marie Pereira is with us. And in West Palm Beach, Florida, former police lieutenant, trial attorney, Rick King. All right, Michael, Marie, Rick, great to have you with us. Together, one more time, I'm going to play it, okay? You guys listen closely. When the wavelength turns red, that's when this purported sound is heard. by many people online. I heard it. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's do it right now.
All right.
Anyone? No.
I didn't hear anything.
Let's do. Can we do it one more time? One more time. It's really, really faint. Really faint. Could be, I don't know, a screech of a tire. It could be a scream. It could be an animal chirping. One more time.
All right.
Okay, it's faint. It would be, though. Let me ask you this, though, Michael. We're a month in now. A month into this case. No one's been arrested. No suspect has been named. No person of interest. Many people have been publicly cleared by investigators. Do you think this could go cold? A case with this much attention, this many resources, including the FBI, could go cold on us?
That's always a possibility, Vinny, especially with the amount of time that's passed by in this case. We don't see it happen as much present day because of the technological resources, the access to individuals via cell phone data, bank accounts, just the way that we're hyper connected in this world. We don't see that happen as frequently, so it's not as likely to happen, but it's always a possibility when this amount of time passes and there's been no person of interest named, you have no leading suspects, and you have very little to go on in terms of who committed this horrendous crime. So, our hope is that it doesn't go cold, but that's always a possibility.
Now, Marie, if in fact that was a scream, big presumption, but if it was a scream, do you think investigators would acknowledge that publicly?
I think they would, but based on the audio that I heard, and my hearing is pretty direct, I didn't hear a scream. Not anything enough to connect a dot and to solve this mystery, no.
Rick King, you're also a former police officer. Lieutenant King. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts about where we are in this case? I mean, obviously people online are picking apart any little piece of information that becomes public, like this body cam, right? But to me, this is around the time of the murders, and there are other points of the video where you hear other people in the background that are very close. There's a lot of students moving around the campus, 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you surprised that it's a month later with all these people walking around that there's a killer who has gotten away with this and there hasn't been an arrest and that there's not an eyewitness that saw someone speeding off or anything like that?
Well, you can't be surprised at how things turn out. I mean, witnesses are, I used to have a lieutenant when I was just a young rookie police officer who would talk about fingerprints and say that a fingerprint is a chance impression. And so the chance that there's a witness there, the chance that there's that someone sees something, those are all things that happen just like that by chance. I'm not totally convinced that the police or the FBI don't have some information that they're just not letting go just yet. I think, with cell tower information and the amount of forensic evidence that had to be at the scene, I think they may have something, but they're just not willing to let it go. Just as if they actually heard something within the sounds of that body cam recording, that they might not tell you that either. I mean, there's a lot of things that the police, where they hold close to the vest because they don't want to let the suspect know. And so as they're working their case and trying to build their case, they're not always going to tell you about it. And that's just the nature of investigations.
Well, one thing that has me very, very suspicious tonight is this search for this car. And let me put this on the screen. This started December 7th, which is a week ago. Detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. They've got the make and model, the year, you know, they have a little bit of a window here. With an unknown license plate, tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. Okay? If you know of any, know of or own a vehicle matching the description, or know of anyone who may have been driving the vehicle in the days preceding or the day of the murders, please forward that information to the tip line. Okay? As recently as today, they're still looking for information and trying to figure out who's the driver of this Elantra. Now, the picture is a generic picture of that type of car. It's not the car. But here's why I'm suspicious, Marie, because if you own that car, you know you own it. You know if you own a white Elantra. If you were there at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know you were there at 3 o'clock in the morning. If you live anywhere in Idaho or perhaps the entire country and you've paid this much attention to the case, but if you were actually there the night of the murders, you know you were there the night of the murders, so you're paying attention to the investigation, why on earth would the driver of this car not come forward immediately? That's suspicious to me.
Because the driver of this car may be involved in it, and the mere fact that they leaked that shows that they're desperate to get any type of clue, because that alone could be compromising their investigation. But they're faced with no choice in this situation where it seems like they have no leads whatsoever, and this case is about to go cold.
Rick, is there any reasonable explanation for the driver of this vehicle to not come forward?
Yeah, if they
any
were
innocent
involved.
explanation?
I don't know about innocent explanation, but the obvious explanation is that they have some tie to what happened. And I agree with Marie in the sense that they probably released that information hoping that somebody who knows that car or knows that car to be in the area would come forward. I don't know necessarily that it's about the actual driver of the car more than it's about someone who knows someone who drives a car who may have been in that area.
Michael, let me ask you this. If this person who was driving this car, 100% innocent, not involved in the murder, but was driving through town that night, gets a little queasy, maybe it's a young person, tells their parent, their mom or dad, hey, you know, I think they're looking for me in this car. And mom and dad said, oh, let's talk to a lawyer. Is there any reason why a lawyer might tell that person to not come forward? If they're innocent, I'm talking about someone who's innocent, not a killer.
No, I mean, I can't think of a reason. I mean, I think that, you know, when you got a client who's innocent, and sometimes when you have a client who, you know, who may not necessarily be fully innocent, there are times where we do what we call is run to trouble, meaning that you run to try to dispel any notion or any idea that you could have been involved when it looks like there's a possibility you might have been involved. You run to trouble to dispel any such notion. So the best counsel, particularly Vinny, in your scenario, would be to have them run to trouble, run to the police, let them know I was the one driving that car. Here's what happened. I was staying at a friend's house. I didn't see anything. I got in the car, left that morning. I found out about the murders the same way everybody else did on the news or whatever. But you'd have them run to trouble and try to dispel any notion that they're involved.
All right, Marie, let me change you just a little bit. They show up at your office, but you're not quite sure if this is the killer or not. You definitely don't know for sure that they're the killer. They're saying that they're not involved, but you, in the back of your mind, are like, could be the killer. What does their lawyer tell them to do?
I would say to them, be careful, because if I bring you in and you are in any way involved with this, what you say will be used against you in a court of law. So if there's any doubt, let's sit, brainstorm, talk about this before I bring you in to dig a deeper hole for you.
Rick, and again, this is all, I'm just wondering why someone wouldn't come forward. Maybe they lawyered up. If they spoke with a lawyer, like, what is that conversation like? Does the lawyer want to know for sure whether or not they're the killer? Or does the lawyer just kind of lay out what your options are? How deep do you want to get in when someone is not telling you they're the killer, but telling you that, yeah, I think my son here who's with me, I think he's the one who's driving his car?
Yeah, I think what you want to do, or what I would want to do, is I would want to just say, hey, let's just lay back a minute and let's talk about options. And I think that's the better move at that point. You talk about options and you lay back until the situation comes to you.
All right.
That's the only, I was gonna say, that's the only advantage that defense attorneys often have, is that, when you've got somebody, you represent the accused, you've got the person who actually knows what happened. And so a lot of times that's the only advantage you have.
Yep.